and welcome to my Facebook Live for today. It's great to be able to join with you and to share some stamping and paper crafting with you. So thank you for taking the time, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching the recording later on Facebook or watching it on YouTube. So thank you for joining with me today. So I'm going to share with you today the Fitting Florets Collection. So this is a new set of stamps and dies that have come out that will be appearing in the new catalogue that will come out in January. So a little bit of a sneak peek at that. And there are some other accompanying products that go with that too, which are just special limited edition for at the moment. So there's another stamp set to complement it, some papers and some embellishments. So I hope you like looking at those very shortly. So I'm going to show you, I've made 2 cards using the Fitting Florets set. Reasonably sort of simple cards, but just showing you the versatility of these stamps and dies. And I love the oval shapes of them. So it's a great way to use some cool shaped dies. So I'm going to turn my camera around and then we're going to get started and I'll share my cards with you today. So thank you again for taking the time to join with me. And I'm going to show you, so these are the framed florets, so the stamp set and some of the dies here. So like I said, there's some oval dies, which are great, and then some sort of die cut shape that you can use to add to what you're doing. And then there's some shapes which cut out some of the things here that you can stamp in colour. And they also, some of them cut out some of the shapes to do with the papers. So this will be available in the January catalogue next year, but you can order it now. But these papers are a limited time paper, so very beautiful. So we've got lots of ones with flowers, so sort of flowery on one side for some of them, and then some patterns on the other. So for example, this is flowery and then it's the blue on the other side. And some of them are flowery, some could be used for Christmas as well, and we've got some nice blues there too. So they're the papers. Now these, some of the dies will actually cut out some of the shapes. Like there's a die that cuts out this one here, which I think I might have left the die on my die cutting machine, but you'll see in a second card how it does that. And there are also some, there's another stamp set which is a limited one. This is it here, which is great for Christmas and things. Great to have a nice big sort of sentiment in the middle of your oval shape. So this will be a limited time one. And there are some embellishments. When I ordered, the embellishments weren't available, so I couldn't get them at the time, but they are now available. Okay, cool. So this is the first card we're going to make, and then I've got a second card that I'll show you as well that we'll do afterwards. So this was the first one I made, and I kept it with the soft succulent, and then I thought, oh, I should probably change the border. So then I did the white. Now I'm like, oh, which do I like? I still quite like this in some ways. So when we get to make this one, you can help me decide which way we go. So this is what I mean about, this is die cut from the paper. So you don't always have to, here it is, cut out. You don't always have to stamp in colour. You can cut some of them out from the paper too. All right, so we're going to start with the other card first. So I've chosen for my card base and things, colours that are already in the papers. So we've got some soft succulent and the blushing bright is the lighter pink. There is a darker pink in there as well, which is the polish pink. There's a bit of yellow, which is crushed curry. There's also a dark green, which is evening evergreen, which I've used a lot of recently, so taking a break from that. And balmy blue is that blue touch to it as well. So if you don't know what colours to use in your cards, look at Designer Series paper and see what they use together, and you might want to use some of those for your combination. All right, so if we get started, we will, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find the pre-cut bits that I've got ready to use, which I've right here, and I've just put stuff on top of them. So we're going to do this one first. Here it is. Okay, so I've got my standard card base, And so I'm having a layer of pink behind it, so 10 centimeters by 14.3. Now a little cheat, what you can do is you can get the dies, and I've just used the oval one for the pink, and then I've cut it again for the white. So we can actually cut it out of this piece because we're going to cover it, so you're not going to know. So I've pre-cut these for the sake of time. So I've actually got these done. So we're actually just going to use the pink of this one, and then you're going to cut it again, and then you'll have one that's the white, and then we won't need this bit. So you could use those for another card and do the other way around. So it's going to be like this. So when you put this on and then your paper, this is hidden. So that's my big tip for today is, you know, make use of your papers and things. I don't tend to do it on the inside layer because when you're writing, it could be a bit bumpy, but definitely on the front, layering it up, no one's going to know if you're hiding a little hole. Oh, thanks Elizabeth for your comment. I'm glad that you think they're beautiful. So these cards aren't too hard to make, but it's using the dies and things make it easy to make a beautiful card that you can gift to someone, and they'll be, you know, impressed with your efforts, and the dies are doing a lot of the work for you. So we're going to adhere that down. So my paper obviously needs to be a little bit smaller than that. So this is my paper. This is 9.5 centimeters by 13.8. Now I have also made it in the pattern which is the bigger flower, but then I realized I can either fussy cut or die cut some of those. So I wanted to save that paper for other things. So then I've gone with the smaller one. Now I've got to work out, is there a right way up? Probably, I think that way maybe looks a little bit better. So we're just going to adhere these down, and then we'll do a little bit of stamping. All right, so that just frames it nicely. It's quite a busy design, but then once you've got, you know, your sentiment and things in the middle, then it's not quite so busy looking. All right, so wishes for a beautiful birthday. So these are the sentiments and things. There are other ones you could use. If you wanted to use Thankful with All My Heart, you'd probably have to do your oval that way, because it's might just fit actually, but maybe that way is slightly better. Okay, I've set mine up on the Stamparatus, so you don't have to, but if it doesn't quite go the first time, I can have another go at restamping it and things. All right, so I'm doing it on the white. And one of the reasons I do it is because I like using these lines to help me get my words kind of straight, and hopefully put my oval, we don't want our oval crooked, if you know what I mean. The first card I made, yeah, my stamping wasn't quite so perfect, but it's okay. All right, so I'm going to put that there, and then I'm actually going to position this now. So I kind of want it in the middle, or I might actually do it a little bit higher this time because of my other embellishment. And I'm going to kind of look for that, for a beautiful, and see if that kind of is straight with that line, and then it's kind of centered. When I'm happy with that, we'll put it in, and I'm going to use Soft Succulent to stamp my sentiment. So I'm bringing in those colors, Soft Succulent, and the other one is Blushing Bride. So let's stamp that up. Right, and if I had a whole lot of cards to make, I could obviously, you know, keep going many times and things. And even though I got, I don't know if you can see, a little bit of ink around the edge, because I'm not rocking it, it's just stamping flat, I didn't get any extra ink anyway. But I am going to clean it now because I do have to use it with Versamark later, so just so I don't forget. All right, let's take this off. So you can put the paper sheets on here, or this is an additional mat that you can get, and you can just wipe it down too, which is really cool. Okay, now I'll just show you my first card. After I'd done it, I kind of found, oh, it's slightly not centered, because I put the outside edge on first, and then I couldn't straighten up my words because I couldn't, you know, adjust it because it had to fill in the oval shape. So depends on what you're doing, but for this card, I'm actually going to put that on first. Then I can make sure my words are, you know, level and not wonky and things. And then I'll put that around afterwards. Because if I put this on and I'm slightly off, I might end up making that slightly wonky. So it depends on what dies you're doing. Because obviously if you're using another die like this, it's quite obvious which is, you know, nice and square and things. So what I'll do is I'll actually glue them both, and then I can they're both ready to go, and then I can just adjust them together if need be. But I'm still going to put the white one down first. I hope that makes sense. So I will put it in the center like so, and that looks kind of centered. Then I'll put that over the top, and then I'll adjust the two if I feel I need to. Oh, I think that looks pretty good. There we go. Happy with that? All right, and then I've just added a little bit more of an embellishment. So this was one of the dies in the pack that I've cut out. I didn't want too much because it's already quite busy. So maybe we could, I don't know, where to position it. Any thoughts? Do I do that? You can maybe see it a bit more, but it's not quite the oval. I don't know. We'll still go maybe on the side there like that. You could add a little bit more embellishment if you want to. I'm just going to try and just put a little bit of glue on. Often I'll use a sponge and sponge it on, but today I'm just trying like this and hopefully it'll be all right. Don't need to cover the entire thing, but just don't want to hide the words. So, whoops. Push that down. There we go. So that is my card. Quite quick and simple, and it's just, yeah, very effective with the dies that you can use. So like I said, I've got these spare, so I could do, you know, the opposite way around or use it in a different way. Okay, for my second card, I didn't want it to be too busy with the flowery pattern, so I've gone for a more neutral pattern on the background. So that's what it is on one side. This is what it is on the other. Now, if you are very careful, where's my big die? Again, underneath, that will fit. You can cut that out. But I should have done that before. And I've got a spare one here. This is if you want the white, all right? If you want the green, you'll just have to get a piece of cardstock. So, what do you like? The soft succulent or the white border? Any thoughts there? Which way shall we go? While you're thinking, I will put the other down. Obviously, excuse me, if you were cutting the white, do that first and then stick it down. But since I haven't pre-prepared it, we'll just glue it down ready to go. So what do you think? Should we go for the green soft succulent border or the white border? And then we're going to put our DSP, so just a little bit smaller. Oh, someone's saying white. It does stand out more, that is true. Okay, there we go. So what we'll do is we'll stamp our piece in the middle, and I've used white embossing powder for that to make it stand out on the coloured cardstock. So let's do that. So remember I cleaned it before. So we'll line it up again. So let's try and get our oval kind of level. And this time I'm putting it a little bit lower, just so there's room up the top there. Okay. So I'm going to just make sure it's adjusted, because I haven't marked the page or anything. I'm having to adjust it every time. But if you were doing lots of these, you can make a template or draw around it, and then you wouldn't need to adjust it every single time. Now, I said I need to go lower, didn't I? Because I want to have room for my flowers. So let's go about there. So I'm using these lines going across to kind of make sure that looks fairly straight. All right, I'm going to use my now, this is what I forgot on one of my cards. It's a little bit messy, so let's put our embossing buddy on. That's what I forgot with one of my samples. You learn from your mistakes. All right, and we'll try this. So the good thing about this with your ovals, you can have a nice big sentiment in the middle, and that can kind of be your focus on the card. All right, so we'll carefully lift that up and get our, just wipe that while I remember. Get our white embossing powder. I'll use my tray here in case spills anywhere. So there we go. And a little tap on the back. There is a little bit down here, but we can just wipe it with our brush. Might need a little bit more on the S. Whoops. Just as well, I've got my little thing behind. All right, I'll tip that back in afterwards. And excuse a little bit of noise. We will heat that. Hopefully it's not too noisy for you. So just watch it melt and go nice and crisp and white. Can you see that? Oh, there we go. So you can see the top one is done. It's a lot brighter, and the birthday part is coming now too. Isn't that cool? I don't want to overdo it either. There we go. Isn't that lovely? So heat embossing was one of the first things I learnt to do when I started card making, even if it meant using a toaster. All right, so white we reckon. So that and that, like so. The other one we did was more solid around the edge. So this has got a little more gaps in it, so we'll just have to be a little bit more careful putting our glue on. I'll have them both ready again, but we'll probably put this one down first because we need to know where our kind of end points are. Whoops. So we'll put a little bit on here to hold that. And you could obviously, oh, there's one that I haven't poked out. You might want to check that before you put the glue in. What was I going to say? You could use dimensionals and, you know, raise one up and things as well. Okay, so we're trying to get it even across the sides and up and down. Stick it down and put this in, and then just adjust it if we need to. So a lot of these cards we're just using cardstock, some paper, and then stamping our sentiments and things. And then, which I've prepared earlier, we're going to add that to it as well. But if you like, you can stamp an image, so that's kind of the same size of that. Stamp colours that you like to make it work with whatever card you're using. And my dimensionals, we're going to put it on with dimensionals. And then we're nearly done. All right. So kind of like so. There we go. So there's the white. Okay, so here are, whoops a daisy, the two cards. So we've got it with soft succulent and around. You can't probably see the outside design quite so much, but it all blends together. And then definitely with the white, it's showing around the edge and things. So our first card that we did was this one here. So using our designer series paper with the pattern and a bit of die cut embellishment there and just stamped straight on. This one we've done heat embossing. So for heat embossing you do need to have Versamark, which is like a clear ink, and then you need a heat tool, and then you need your embossing powder, and they come in a variety. So this is white. You can get clear, white, black, and then you can get metallic colours too, which can make it look really, really cool. So there's endless possibilities of these particular products, the Framed Florets and the dies, and the other ones and the papers and things too. I'm going to have fun making some Christmas cards, so I'll try and share those with you at some stage, whether it's the Facebook Live or on my blog and things. So thank you for your time today. If you've got any questions about what I've made, please comment or get in contact with me and ask. If you're interested in purchasing any of these products, then feel free to get in contact with me as well. And I hope these cards inspire you to use what you've got and to make some wonderful creations as well, so you can bless some people with some wonderful cards. All right, thanks so much for your time. If you are watching this on YouTube, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.